안녕하세요. I hope you can hear me well. So, welcome to our live class for today. Let's see who's here. 네, 오늘의 라이브 수업 시작하겠습니다. So, yes, I was on Instagram to tell people to come over. So, if you are here after watching that live feed here there on YouTube or on Instagram, please let me know. I just want to know if people actually did come over from Instagram after that. If so, I will try to do that more to remind people in the future. All right, cool. So today's live class is again another reading class. And the reading class is always based on our Talk to Me in Korean Stories app, as you know. The app is here. Let me show you. This is the app. By the way, these are the Talk to Me in Korean apps, as you know. The courses, the stories, and also Seo for your speaking practice will be focusing on 2 or 3 texts, paragraphs, or articles from the Talk to Me in Korean Stories app, which is our graded reading app. I believe it is the world's only graded reading app for the Korean language. So, yeah, cool. Oh, so a lot of people are actually coming from Instagram, so I should do that more often. All right. Colin, 네, 감사합니다. So you asked me about the topic of the live class, and also, yeah, many people are telling me that this is their first time to be catching me live here on YouTube. That's great. 어서 오세요. 라이브 수업 처음이라고 하시는 분들 많이 계셨어요. And thank you, Audi, for congratulating us on 2 million subscribers. Yeah, I was away from the office, and everybody in the office celebrated in their own style, like which is very quietly. I don't know if you saw that Instagram reel and YouTube short that we posted, and you can really see the atmosphere of our office from that video. Like everybody's working really, really hard, like quietly. We talk a lot on Slack and through messages and emails and stuff, but the office, if you step into it, Audi, you've been there, so you know. It's like a library. 도서관 같아요. 도서관. Or like, I don't know, yeah. I think it's exactly like a library. Like everybody whispers, 지금 바빠요. Something like that. So our editor, our PD님, in Korean we say PD, producer, short for producer. PD님, you know, the 님 is the same name as in 선생님, 현우님, 아우디님, you know, after somebody's name or title. So PD님, our producer or editor, he was like, can I tell people that we've surpassed 2 million? 오케이. 네. 그래서 200만 구독자를 넘었고요. 감사합니다. You are part of the celebration. Thank you. 그러면 자, 오늘 수업 시작하겠습니다. So this is our app. If you're new to Talk to Me in Korean, this is the channel. You can learn Korean with our systematic curriculum, with our various services and products. We have books, courses, and 2 separate mobile apps for specific purposes and goals. This is graded reading. So you want to learn more vocabulary. You want to be able to understand more by knowing more words. And the best way to learn more words in any language is through context and through engaging context. And we have that built right into this app. So let me start right away. And we are going to actually, so let me show you the text screen. We're going to do these 2 texts. And if we have some more time, we'll go to the 3rd text. This one is from level 2. This one is from level 7. So we are looking at 2 paragraphs or stories at the either end of a very wide spectrum of levels. 레벨 2는 초급이죠. Beginner level. 초급. 초 means beginning. And then this is 중급, but at the end of 중급. 중 is middle. So yeah, it'll be a wide range. And the first story is 잘하는 것, 잘하는 것. Something that I am good at, something you are good at. 우리가 사춘기를 보내는 법 is how we spend our puberty or adolescence. So it's going to be a fun story. This is a one-off article. This is a continued story series, what we call series. So coming back to the app, this is inside our app. You can see several tabs here at the bottom. So you see the welcome screen, and this is where you can see what you are going to read next. Continue reading. And then we're going to jump into level 2 first. We have series, stories that are connected, parts that are connected in one single story. So 보리네 가족 has 5 parts, as you can see. You can see my cursor too, right? 내 마음을 말하고 싶어요. I want to express my emotions is 5 parts. 거짓말이 아니에요. I'm not lying is 5 parts. If you go to higher levels, for example, level 7, which we'll be reading together, the stories are like 10 parts because they will become longer. And articles are standalone articles or stories. So it can be something like a news article with information or actual stories. And we're going to read 잘하는 것 first. Okay? This is what we're going to be reading together. So every day you open your app and then read something before you go on to other things. And one interesting stat, we did share it in one of our previous videos somewhere, but a lot of you actually read with the Talk to Me Korean Stories app right before bedtime, like at 11 p.m. for you, 10 p.m. for you. So it's really interesting to see that, oh, I should do my stories studying. 오늘 스토리즈 안 봤어. 공부해야 돼. So you read something before you go to bed. All right. You ready? 준비되셨어요? Yes. Like Charity says, reading consecutively and consistently really, really helps. Doing anything consistently really helps. 네, 그래서 꾸준히 공부하면 실력이 계속 늘 거예요. And for those of you who are wondering, this live class will be saved, so you can come back to the live tab on YouTube anytime to review the whole thing, okay? So Korean reading class level 2 and level 7, I have copied and pasted everything down here, so we're gonna break down everything. So I will try to go through everything and even the second part of the second story, but if we don't have time, if we run out of time, we'll just do the first part. 네, level 2. 잘하는 것. 잘하는 것. So here, as usual, I'll be typing a ton, so be ready to take notes if you want. So, 잘 is well. 하다 is to do something. 것 is thing or fact or the act of doing something, right? So whenever you want to put a verb in front of a noun, you have to turn it into the noun modifying form. 하는 것 is thing that you do. So let's say the subject is you. It can be the thing that one does, the thing that I do. So that's the thing about the Korean language. It's very flexible in terms of the subject because it can often be omitted. Subject of the sentence is 주어. So 주어가 많이 생략돼요. 주어가 많이 or 자주 생략돼요. The subject is often omitted. So anyway, 잘하는 것, so something 할 것, something that you will do, a thing that you will do. 한 것, a thing that you did. So you can see the connecting part here. 는 is for the present tense. real is for the, so 는, real. And then here, 니은, or even sometimes 은. So you will see these markers here and there. Face, fact. Did I say face? Oh, okay, yeah. I did say fact and typed face. I need more coffee. I drank the whole cup, but yeah, apparently I need more. 그래서 잘하는 것, it means something that I'm good at, something that you're good at. We don't know who or whom we're talking about. Let's see. 저는 잘하는 것이 없어요. Okay. Let me see. Did I? I thought I had. Okay. I thought I had separated all the lines already, but apparently it's up here. Let me actually change that or move it over here. Sorry to move you around too much. Yeah, we're done. So, 저는 잘하는 것이 없어요. So, 잘 plus 하다 were originally two words, right? I've mentioned it in several lessons. 잘 plus 하다. So in Korean spacing rules, when individual words are or have their own meaning, you separate them, but once they become commonly used together or they become used together frequently enough, the spacing rule decides, or the people who decides things on spacing rules decide that, okay, it's one word. So 잘하다 is now one word when you say, when you mean that you're good at something, to be good at something. 잘하다, this spacing with a space between 잘 and 하다 still does exist if it specifically means you do something well, skillfully. It was well done well. So to do something well. But in general, when you're talking about your skill level, it's usually that one word format. So you will see that here quite often. 공부도, studying as well, 별로, not particularly, 잘 못해요. So 잘하다, when it's used like that as one word without spacing between 잘 and 하다, the opposite of it is 못하다, which was originally two words separated, but now it's one word, 못하다. So to be good at something, to be poor at something. Okay? And then whenever you want to say not so good at so-and-so, 잘 못해요. You can of course say 공부도 별로 못해요. It makes the same kind of meaning, but 잘 못해요, it's a sentence softener. Okay, softener. So it makes the sentence a little soft compared to just 못해요. I'm terrible at it. You say 잘 못해요. I'm not the best at studying. And as for 운동, 운동은, so we are using that topic marker here for contrast. 전혀 못해요. 전혀 is not at all, completely unable to do any sports. I'm terrible at sports is 운동은 전혀 못해요. 어설퍼요. 네, 어설퍼요. KD 타타유님. 어설프다. Yeah, when you are to be bad at something, but mainly because you haven't had enough practice or experience. If you've practiced a lot for many years, 어설프다 is a little, not, it might not be the best description. 어설프다 is you're bad at something as a beginner. You're bad at something as a beginner. Or you're trying to put on an act and act normally, show that you're not nervous. 어설퍼요. Okay? Excuse me. And then we have a question. Can you say 잘한 것 to mean something I was good at? Or do you have to say 잘하던 것? That's very good. Excuse me. Let me drink some water. It usually happens. My voice kind of thinks it's ready, but then it decides it's not because it's early morning. Very good question. 잘한 것, in this case, 잘하던 것 is better for stuff that you used to be good at, because 잘한 것 can, at least in spoken Korean, can sound like something that something that was the right thing to do. 잘한 것, that was the right thing to do. You did well on that. But 잘하던 것 is something that you used to be good at. So if you want to make that contrast, separation from the current state as opposed to the past. 네, 맞아요. 탈리아님이라고 부를게요. 그 인스타그램하고 유튜브하고 아이디가 다르시기 때문에 그냥 한번 그렇게 불러봤어요. 자, 그래서 쭉 보겠습니다. Let's keep going. 노래도 잘 못해요. Singing as well, I'm not good. 요리도 못해요. Cooking as well, I'm not good. So 잘 못해요, 못해요. The same thing here. 다른 사람들은 other people 잘하는 것이 많아요. They have many things that they are good at. Nothing too difficult here, right? 네, 다른 사람들. As we just discussed this, I guess, formation, let me quickly just review that with you, because the concept of, because we're still staying in the beginner category with this story, we're going to move on to the intermediate territory soon, but 다르다 is to be different. So you really need to understand the core concept of descriptive verbs versus action verbs in the Korean language, because all adjectives are basically, unless it's an adjective based on in the form of a noun, if it's to be so and so, if you can say to be so and so about an adjective, it's a verb in Korean. So 다르다 is to be different. Even if you look up, oh, what's different in Korean? 다른, even if you see this as the search result in a dictionary or in your AI agent, that's not the original form. That's the adjective form conjugation. So you have to always start with the dictionary form, which always ends with so and so 다. So 다르다. So yeah, 다른 사람들 basically means people that are different from me, who are other people. So 다른 사람들, other people. Okay. Hona in Seoul, you're not very late. We started 20 minutes ago, but we're just starting with the first story, so you're good. You can review the first 20 minutes of the live class after it's over with the recorded version. 정말 걱정이에요. So this is a very Korean style of a sentence. 정말, really, 걱정이에요. It's really a worry. I'm really worried is the translation. 정말 걱정이에요. By the way, if you're new to the app, you can actually go to the notes section. So whenever you're trying to go to the notes section, without taking the quiz, which you're supposed to, right after reading something to check your understanding, you will be alerted like that. So if you go here, you can check the translation and then also click on each sentence to see the grammar breakdown. Okay? And yeah, 정말 걱정이에요. I'm really worried. 그래서 친구한테 말했어요. 그래서 is so, therefore, when you practice, reading things out loud, if you can, try to say these things faster than other words because these are words that you often say, like 그래서. People rarely say 그래서. You can enunciate and say 친구한테 말했어요. That's natural. But 그래서, that's not as natural because 그래서, 그리고, 그런데, those conjunctions are often said really quickly. So be ready to say these things more quickly. 그래서. And be ready to hear people say it really quickly. It'll even sound like so. Okay? Yeah. 친구한테, to a friend, I said, 나는 잘하는 것이 하나도 없어. Not even one. I don't even have one thing that I'm good at. 어떻게 해야 해? So, 어떻게 해야 해? It's the same as 어떻게 해야 돼? And it's the same as 어떻게. So, 어떻게 해야 돼? It is shortened to 어떻게. All right. But this is more specifically, what should I do? And this is more like, oh no, now what? All right? And 너도 잘하는 것이 있어. So this is what the friend says, the 4 lines. 너도 잘하는 것이 있어. You too have, or in you, there is something that you're good at. 너도 잘하는 것이 있어. So as you can see, very, very flexible with the concepts kind of being mixed in this short sentence. As for you as well, 잘하는 것, something that you are good at, 있어, exists. 너는 친구의 말을 아주 잘 들어줘. So, earlier I mentioned that 잘 and 하다 were 2 separate words in the beginning, but then now they are, or it is considered as one word because it is used so commonly together. 잘 듣다 is not one word because it's less frequently used than 잘하다. So 잘 is still used with a space before and after. 듣다 is a irregular verb. To hear, to listen. 들어요 is the present tense conjugation. 들어주다 is to listen to someone for their benefit or as an act of kindness. 들어주다, you do something for someone because of that 주다 part. You give the action of listening. So yeah, 너는 친구의 말을 아주 잘 들어줘. You listen to your friends really, really well. Listen to your friends' stories. 말 is words or story. 친구의 is the original standard pronunciation, but in spoken Korean, it's often pronounced as 친구애. 친구애. Yeah, give listening. Give the gift of listening. It may seem similar to give it a listen or give it a look, take a look, but it's actually quite different, right? You are, being kind by listening to somebody. All right. This is familiar. What lesson was it? Tassie Hadlock says this is, let me show you. This is level 2. Level 2, if you go into the articles section, it's the eighth story or article here. Okay? 그래서 너한테는, so to you, 너한테는 언제나, always, 언제나, anytime, 내 마음, my heart, my emotions, my feelings, my mind. 마음 can mean so many of those things. 잘 이야기할 수 있어. I can talk about my heart, thoughts, emotions well to you always. And as you know, 한테 can be to or from, right? 한테. 한테서 is only from. So if you want to be specific and if you want to just make it certain that you're saying from, add that 서, 한테서. But here, 너한테는 it can be either giving it to you, receiving it from you. So, but you can see that from the context that it's to you. Here, it's written as 내가, 내. Let me distinguish the pronunciation between these two. 내, 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 내. So this 내, which is my, 내 이야기, my story, it's pronounced with your mouth a little more open than the other one, and the sound is kind of here around your ears, between your ears. And then 내, which means you, in this case, is kind of here. The sound is more upfront, 내, and the mouth is a little narrower. So 내가. But in real life, nobody does that. Nobody cares. So for that reason, people pronounce it as 니, 니가. Okay? 니. 네가 내 이야기를 들어주면 나는 기분이 좋아. So this really kind-hearted friend is telling the person who is telling the story, you have something that you're good at. You listen to people really well, so I can always confess my emotions in you. And when you hear my stories or when you hear me out, I always feel good. Okay? 좋아요. And then this one is really interesting. 저도 잘하는 것이 있었어요. So here, this is a kind of sentence that shows a very subtle difference between Korean and other languages, or at least English in this case. 저도 잘하는 것이 있어요. If you say that in the present tense, it means, oh, I have something that I'm good at. I am good at something. But in Korean, as you can see, it's in the past tense. But it doesn't mean you had something that you are good at or you were good at something. It's just realizing that you had it all along. You just didn't know before. And you were like, oh, yes, I had this. So, for example, you're looking for, so the weather is hot and you're wishing that you had air conditioning in the room. And then you're like realizing, 나도 에어컨이 있었어. Oh, I did have air conditioning is the literal translation in English, but you would say, oh, I do have air conditioning in the present tense. But in Korean, whenever you are realizing something that you had or you have had all along, you forgot about it and you say it in the past tense. So 나도 에어컨이 있어서 doesn't mean I used to have air conditioning. It means you do have air conditioning now. You just thought you didn't. That was in the past. So you're expressing that in the past tense. And it becomes really awkward when you say these things about a person, like having somebody in your life right now. In Korean, it sounds perfectly normal. But if you literally translate that, it may sound like that person isn't alive anymore or something like that. It creates a lot of misunderstandings because of the fact that you are saying something about a person, right? So you know what I mean. Okay? All right. And then 앞으로도 친구들의 마음을 잘 이해해 주고 싶어요. We have 이해해 주다, to give the gift of understanding. Yeah, 앞으로도, from now on as well, 친구들의 마음, the emotions of my friends. 잘 이해해 주고 싶어요. I want to understand my friends' emotions really well going forward as well. What about 구나 and 그렇구나? 그렇죠. 여기에 저도 so the sentence here is in 존댓말, polite language. So you can say 저도 잘하는 것이 있었군요. You need to say 있었군요. 나도 잘하는 것이 있었구나. Yeah, this is in 반말. 존댓말. Yeah, you can say that these three are interchangeable, but the first one is most natural in a story setting. This is more like a conversation style. Okay? Alright. 힌디어에도 똑같은 컨셉트가 있어요. 컨셉이 있어요. 재밌네요. 좋아요. So that's it for the first article, first story for level 2. You guys ready to move on to level 7? All of a sudden, we're going to see a lot more advanced vocabulary, but I'm going to make it as beginner friendly as possible. But before we move on to the next story, we have this quiz to solve together, right? So at the end of every story, you can take some quizzes, comprehension quizzes. And here within the app, you can, for example, like add vocabulary. You can listen to the sound, and then, of course, you can listen to the whole story like that with the voice of a professional voice actor. But let's move on to the quiz section now. So, what is the answer to this? 저는 잘하는 것이 많아요. There are many things that I'm good at. According to the story, the storyteller doesn't think so. 저는 운동을 전혀 못해요. I am not skilled at all in sports. 전혀 못해요. 너한테는 언제나 내 마음을, 내 공부를, 내 사랑을, 내 운동을 잘 이야기할 수 있어. To you, always, I can talk about my emotions, my thoughts, my studies, my love, my exercise. Which one is it? 네, 마음을 잘 이야기할 수 있어. All right, that was the correct answer, and that was everything. We got everything correctly. Cool. And then you can go on to the notes and then, look at grammar breakdown. And then you can go on to the practice section and then type. 공부도 잘 못하고, etc. You can type. There won't be any feedback as of now, but in the future, we would like to do something to help you improve further in this section as well. But for now, I think it's a great set of activities that you can do. And we're going to go to level 7 as promised. And then go on to the series portion and read this story. Okay? Let's go. Level 7. 우리가 사춘기를 보내는 법. 우리 is we. So I guess it's us as human beings generalizing how people spend their 사춘기. This one is actually the same in Chinese and Japanese, I believe. 사춘기 is basically puberty, adolescence. And the word origin of 사춘기 is really interesting. 사 in this case doesn't mean number 4. It means think. 사고, right? 생각. So 사고, 하다, like to think. It's a more advanced vocabulary for to think, to ponder. And that 사 is used here, and 춘 means youth, or in this case, interest in, I guess in the other gender or in dating. And then 기 is period, time. So it's a time when you start thinking of love. That's puberty. So it's combined into puberty. I think 사춘기 is more focused on like suddenly thinking more about love. And then puberty is how your body changes and adolescence. So yeah, I think 사춘기 is a proper, the most accurate term for this period. But anyway, the story starts like this. 여보, thoughtful youths. So it's a period where you think of spring youth love, dating. You know exactly what I mean. The behaviors, the communication style of people who are, 14, 13, 15 years old. We've all been there, I think. So imagine that. One spouse says to the other, 여보. 여보 is honey, sweetheart, used only between married couples. I personally don't use it. It's, I think, a little more old-fashioned, 여보. And people in my generation, some of them, I have heard them say 여보 to the other person. 여보 comes from 여기, 보, 오. Something like that. 여기, 보, 오. This is old-fashioned sentence ending. If you watch Korean history dramas, this 하오체, this 하오 ending is quite common there. 이것은 무엇이요? What is this? 이것은 무엇이요? You have to kind of talk like that. 이것은 무엇이요? With a lot of charisma and an aura. What is this? 이것은 or 이게 뭐예요? This sounds very modern, 2025, and this sounds very 1525. 이것은 무엇이요? Do you know this pun or so? Let me tell you the story with O, and hopefully this will help you remember this O ending. So in Joseon Dynasty, scholar was very hungry, but he didn't have any money. So he went to the marketplace. So it's just a joke, right? I'm not sure whether this would have actually worked like 1,000 years ago. So 1,000 years ago? Yeah, it's not even 1,000 years ago. Let's say 700 years ago. This scholar, this Sunbi scholar in Joseon Dynasty, went to the marketplace and said to one of the merchants, 이것이 무엇이요? Referring to his clothes. And then the merchant says, 옷이요. Those are your clothes, 옷이요. And then it sounded like 옷이요, right? So he came over because it sounded like come over just by answering 옷이요. It's a joke, okay? And then he pointed at some pine nuts, 잣, pine nuts. I believe those are pine nuts. If you don't know what 잣 is, please look it up. 잣, these are like seeds that you can eat or make some oil with. And then 이것은 무엇이요? And then the merchant said, 차시요. 차시오. And this 차시다 is actually an old-fashioned way of saying to eat. So my grandmother, who passed away 11 years ago, she would often say things like 빨리 자셔, like hurry up and eat. 자시다. So to eat. So it ended up sounding like eat, eat. So he, in a hurry, he ate all the pine nuts, and the merchant was like, what are you doing? Are you going to pay? And then the merchant was wearing a kat, right? The Korean style hat that you saw in K-pop Demon Hunters, worn by the Saja boys. And kat was the Korean hat. And okay, 이제 이것은 무엇이요? And then the merchant said, 가시오, 가시오. And it sounded like go. So the Sunbi, the scholar, was told to come, eat, and go, and then wasn't told to pay. So that was his plan of kind of getting away from eating all the pine nuts for free, but then he got caught. And so that is O. I went all the way over here from 여보, because this 여보 comes from 여기 보오, which means look here. So essentially, when you're calling your sweetheart, your husband or wife, honey, it means look here. 여기 보. It became 여보. You know, who else would you say look here to if you're alone with your spouse, right? That's your spouse. And then your something similar is still remaining in modern day Korean in a different form, because that's hello on the phone. 여보세요. Okay. So 여보. Do you get the whole thing? The 하오 ending, history drama, 오. I just told you about a joke that you can actually remember 오 by. All right. 오. 여보, 우리 아들 사춘기인가 봐. I think our son is going through puberty. So 인가 봐. 인가 is if or whether or not. 봐 is to see, but 인가 봐 is I guess it is so and so. 이해 how is this ending still widely spread or just old fashioned? It is still old fashioned. I mean, it is very old fashioned. So people don't say how like that at all unless you are trying to sound like a character in a history drama. Oh, you came across this joke. Will you be my 여보세요 without the 세요? Will you be my 여보, right? Okay. 인가봐. I guess my son is 사춘기. So again, the flexibility of the Korean language here. My son, your son is not the puberty itself, is going through puberty. But you're not saying any of those things. All right, 사춘기, you know, puberty. 우리 아들은, our son, 2.5kg으로, okay, 2.5kg으로, the pronunciation is 2.5kg으로, 2.5kg으로. It's always 점. Although on its own, it's 점. If you have a mole here, like where do I have? Like, so I have a mole here, that's 점. 점을 빼다, get rid of it. 점을 빼다. But when it's a point after number 2.5, 2점. But if it's 4 points, 4점. Yeah, that is 4점. 100 points, 100점. So it really depends on the word and the context. 2 points, that's 2점, not 2점. Yeah, that's great. A discovery that I also made just now. 2점 is 2 points as a score. 2점 is 2 point so and so. You are expecting a decimal number after that. Okay, so that's that. Do we always use kilograms? You can say kilo. So if you want to read it as kilo or kilo even, is 2.5kg로 You don't need 으로. I'm only reading it or pronouncing it as kilogram because I see 으로 and the writer's intention was to read it as kilogram. 2.5kg으로 다른 아기들보다 작게 태어났다. He was born smaller than other babies. 그래서 so 태어나자마자 as soon as he was born. This 자마자 is the as soon as part. 2.2 points is 2.2점. Yeah, 맞아요. Perfect. 2.2점. 2.2 병원에서 지냈다. 지내다 is to spend time, to live temporarily somewhere. 병원에서 지냈다. Spend some time at the hospital. 아내와 나는, so 나 is the husband because you see 아내. 아내와 나는, my wife and I, 오직, only. It sounds very poetic, 오직. You don't say it often in spoken Korean. It's mostly in written Korean. There is quite a bit of a difference between written and spoken Korean, right? Especially in word choices, and this is one example. 아이가 건강하기를 기도했다. 기도하다 means to pray. It can be religious prayers or not so religious. It really just depends. You can be just wishing for something and people say 기도했다. 건강하기를 기도했다. We were wishing for health or praying that the child would just be happy, just be healthy. 그리고 and 우리의 마음을 이해했는지. So in this case, something is omitted. 이해했는지 모르지만 or 모르겠지만 we don't know whether, and it is translated to maybe because he understood our wishes. Something like that. Maybe because is often expressed through 는지, 했는지 모르겠지만 there's no way to know whether he understood our wishes. 아들은 아주 건강하게 자랐다. 건강하게, 건강하다 is the present tense adjective or descriptive verb. 건강하다, to be healthy. 건강하게, this is the adverb healthily. 건강한 is the adjective form healthy. 건강하게 자랐다. Yeah. So 아들은 아주 건강하게 자랐다. He grew up healthily, very healthily. And then the husband is thinking, 우리 아들이 사춘기라고? So this 라고 is reported speech ending, quoting someone, in this case, the wife, and then you're like in disbelief. So this ending is quite commonly used when you are in disbelief. You can't believe what you heard, and it's a noun. So let's say this battery bank, let's say this is a computer. Somebody said that this is a computer. This, I don't know if you can see it. Let's say this is a computer. And then I can be looking at it and think to myself, 이게 컴퓨터라고? That's it. That's how you say it. This is a computer? 이게 컴퓨터라고? 이게 물이라고? And you read something and I said, oh, this is intermediate level, 중급. If it's too difficult for you, you can like 이게 중급이라고? Alright? 언젠가 someday, one day 아들에게도 to my son 사춘기가 온다는 것. The fact that 사춘기 would come to my son as well. 나는 당연히 당연히 of course 당연. If you speak Chinese, you already know this word, 당연. So 당 means rightfully so, and 연 means natural state. So 당연, those two words together, it means that's the course of nature. That's how it's supposed to be. 당연. And then in the Korean language, something that you don't use in, of course, Chinese is this he, which is the adjective marker. He. Or adverb marker, I'm sorry, marker. So 자연 is nature as a noun. 자연히 is naturally. 자연스럽게 is another way to say naturally, but you know that 자연히 is also one adverb form. So 당연히 알고 있었다. Of course I knew that puberty would reach my son one day as well. 사춘기는 누구나 겪는 일이니까. So keyword you need to know is 겪다, is to experience, to go through. So you know the concept of collocation, right? Words that are frequently used together in a certain language. So 겪다, instead of just memorizing 겪다, to experience, 겪다, to experience, like that, because if you do it that way, you can't use it at all. Like when you are supposed to be able to say it, you can't say it because you've never said it in association with another word. So you have to always try to look up, okay, what is this word used with? So 사춘기를 겪다, 고통을 겪다, to experience pain, 어려움을 겪다, to experience some hardship, and something like that. 겪다. Now that I mention it, it's often not very positive. 겪다. 많은 겪은 일이 많다. To have been through a lot. What's collocation in Korean? Good question. Very good question. So my favorite way of saying collocation is 같이 자주 쓰이는 단어들, words that are frequently used together, but the official term, technical term is 연어, 연 from 연결, connection, but it can sound like salmon, right? So if you suddenly mention 연어 in everyday Korean, people will think that you're talking about salmon. So that is why I say 같이 자주 쓰이는 단어들. Okay? 사춘기는 누구나 겪는 일이니까. This 가 is the because ending. Because I knew that 사춘기 would come to my son because we all go through it. Yeah, it's a pun opportunity, 연어. 그런데, but 정말로 아들에게, but for real, 아들에게, to my son. So you don't have to say 내 아들, 우리 아들 all the time. Just 아들 is enough here. 사춘기가 왔다는 말. A word saying, or words saying that 사춘기 has arrived to my son. 들으니까, now that I hear it, 들으니까 기분이 이상했다. That felt weird. T Van says 연어 먹다. Yeah. So salmon to eat. Let's say 연어 plus 덮밥. Salmon rice, and then salmon on top. That itself is 연어, a kind of 연어 collocation. That was good. So we have just 3 more lines here. 작고 귀여운 아기였는데, a small and cute baby였는데, in the past tense, he was a small and cute baby. 이제는 now. 이제 is different from 지금 because 이제 is a transitional now, like before and after, or so far and from now on. 목소리도 굵어지고, 목소리 is your voice. 굵다, this is a fun one. 굵다 is to be thick, okay? To be thick. But in diameter. Diameter. What does it mean that your voice is thick in diameter? Thick voice. So you can kind of imagine it easily, right? So 목소리가 굵어졌어요. It was like a baby voice, but now it's like it's lower pitched. 키도 나보다, yeah, it's a deeper voice. 키도 나보다 커졌다. In terms of the height as well, 나보다 커졌다. He's taller than me. Okay. 가끔은 조금 낯설게 느껴지지만 우리 아들이 건강하게 잘 자라줘서 정말 기뻤다. Sometimes it feels unfamiliar. 우리 아들이 건강하게 잘 자라줘서. So here, even to grow up is something that you can do. 자라주다. Of course, you're not gonna say about yourself. 자라줬어요. You didn't grow up for the benefit of anybody, your parent, but from the parent's point of view, if you're thankful that somebody grew up really well, you can say 잘 자라줘서 고마워 or 기뻐. Okay? 정말 기뻤다. I was very happy that my son grew up healthily and well, even though the fact that he's taller than me, he's got a deep voice, is unfamiliar. 낯설다. I'm going to break it down for you. 낯 is actually face. 설다 is not ripe or not to not ripe. Let's say to be not ripe, to be unfamiliar. But to form the meaning of unfamiliar, you have to use 낯설다 because to your face or the other person's face is not something that you're used to, you're not ready to recognize. Not. And not is often used is not 익다 as well. So 익다 is to be ripe. To be ripe. 낯이 익어요. 낯이 익어요. You look familiar. Okay, and then 민낯 is something that you also hear in lots of news reports. The truth, the ugly truth of some, I don't know, organization of something. 민낯. So bare face, without any makeup or without any cover. So ugly, dark truth is 민낯. So if you look up 민낯, this keyword in the news section of say Google or any search engine, you will see lots of articles, kind of like an expose type article. When you're talking about somebody's face, yes, you do say 생얼 without makeup, but 민낯 is the dark truth. Okay, so that's not. 조금은 낯설게 느껴지지만. 그런데 문제는, but the problem is 아들이 요즘 내 말을 안 듣기 시작했다는 것이다. The problem is so and so 것이다. The fact that my son recently started not to listen to me. Okay, that's typical 사춘기. All right, cool. So I'm looking at the time. We won't be able to look into all the details in the second portion of the story, but I'll just go over it really quickly after the quiz. All right? 볼까요? 이게 이야기였어요. This was the story. Let's go to the quiz. 아들은 다른 아기들보다 크게 태어났다. 어때요? What's the answer? 아들은 다른 아기들보다 크게 태어났어요? 작게 태어났어요? 작게 태어났어요? 아들은 태어나자마자 병원에서 지냈다. 아들은 태어나자마자 The son was staying at the hospital as soon as he was born. Correct. 아들에게 사춘기가 왔다는 말을 듣고 나는 기분이 어땠어요? Upon hearing that 아들, the son, is experiencing puberty, how did I feel? Happy, I prayed, it was weird, 이상했다, 이상했어요. 아들은 사춘기가 와서 어떻게 달라졌어요? So, upon hitting puberty, how did he change? 키가 작아졌어요. This is funny. You don't become shorter. 목소리가 굵어졌어요. You have a deeper voice. 나의 말을 잘 듣는다. Okay. 목소리가 굵어졌다. Okay, we got everything right. Amazing. And then you can go on to the next story like that. 우리가 사춘기를 보내는 법. Alright. Some key words only here. And then I would love to answer some of your questions. If you have questions, this is the time to ask me. Based on what we studied so far during this live class, we've been going over stuff for an hour now, or things that you already had questions about. 아들은 갑자기 많이 달라졌다. The son suddenly changed recently. 전에는 하루 종일 말이 많다. You are talkative when you say 말이 많다. 요즘은 말이 없다. 많아요. 말이 많다. To be talkative. 말이 없어요. 없다. To be quiet. 말수가 많다 is also the same thing. The number of words you say, kind of like word per minute. And 말수가 없다 or 말수가 적다 is the same. Okay? 아들은 갑자기 많이 달라졌다. 전에는 하루 종일 말이 많았는데 요즘은 말이 없다. I will actually go through everything, but just at a quicker pace, skipping some details, and then if you have a question about a certain part, I'll come back. 먼저 말을 걸어도 대답도 잘 안 한다. Even if I talk to him first, he doesn't even answer properly. 학교 잘 다녀왔어? This will be how was school? It's a very Korean style of asking. Did you go to school and come back well? Would be the literal translation. How was school? Was everything all right at school? 네. 오늘 학교에서 뭐 했니? So this ni ending is a grown up to child, or usually that direction. It's a kind of question. 뭐 했니? You can never say so and so ni to someone older or even to someone at the same age as you. It's always talking down. But very, very appropriate for a parent to say to a child. What did you do at school? Or what happened? Or what's new at school? 그리고 요즘 아들의 방 문은 항상 잠겨 있다. And my son's room door is always locked these days. 무슨 비밀이 그렇게 많은지 모르겠다. I don't know what kind of secrets are so 많다, abundant. I don't know what kind of how many or so many secrets. Why he has so many secrets. 가끔 방문이 열려 있을 때, sometimes when the room door is open, 보면 when I look or if I see, 아들은 컴퓨터를 하고 있거나 he's either on his computer, 친구들과 통화를 하고 있다. He's talking on the phone with his friends. 그리고 나와 눈이 마주치면, and if he makes eye contact with me or if our eyes meet, 방문을 닫아버린다. He just closes the door. 또 요즘 아들은 연예인처럼 만나기가 힘들다. and it's hard to see my son like he is a celebrity. Excuse me. This one, 연예인. In many contexts, people, okay, let's look at the word 연예인 first. Does anybody know where the word 연예인 come from? 연예, and how it's different from 연애? And also another question, do you say in your language or call somebody who is really, really busy 연예인 같다? Let me know. So, yeah, the difference between 연애 and 연예, where it comes from, and whether you also use 연예인 to describe somebody who is quite busy and hard to meet because of the busy schedule. All right, not in your language. Yeah, so when you say that somebody's like a 연예인, celebrity, it doesn't mean that you are fond of that person. It usually means that 연예인 같아, like you're so busy, you're so hard to meet. And 연예 comes from 연기, 예술. Did you know? 연기, 예술. 연기 is acting. 예술 is art. So 연기, 예술 is shortened to 연예. So 연예인 basically means 연기 예술인 person. Someone who is in acting or some kind of art. So 연예인. And then, so you have to pronounce it as 연예인, like that with the extra Y sound, because 연애 means dating. And 연예인 is not a word that exists. But because it's not a word that exists, people can often pronounce 연예인 as 연예인, and then they can get away with it. They are understood, so it's not a big problem if you make that same mistake. But 연예인, 연기 예술, acting and art. So you're in broadcasting. It's a very broad term. So it doesn't even mean that you are a celebrity, you are famous. It doesn't, in the Korean language at least, it doesn't guarantee that you are famous, even if you are a 연예인. And yeah, that's something that was formed over the years. And then on idiomatic usage is that you are like a 연예인. It doesn't mean that you are famous per se. It's you are so hard to meet. 우리 아들은 연예인처럼 만나기가 힘들다. So yeah, if you remember this sentence and memorize it, or just practice it a few times, it'll become familiar, because this portion is just, yeah, so commonly used as is. Yeah, everybody says 연예인 because 연예인 is not a word. This is what they're saying, but it sounds like that. Okay, 예술인. Yeah, 예술인. Yeah, there's a difference, I think, in the way it feels. 연예인 feels like, even though in its original meaning, 연예인 is anybody who is in art or acting, famous or not. 예술인 is something like an artist, that, or 예술가, artist, and it might often imply that you are not really that well known, but you are an artist. It depends on the context though. Okay, 아들, 우리 주말에 외식하러 갈까? Do you want to eat out this weekend? 외식, outside, eat. 친구랑 약속 있어요. I have a plan with my friend or friends. 이번 주말도 아들은 친구들을 만나느라고 바쁘다. Yeah, this weekend as well, my son is busy meeting or hanging out with his friends. 요즘 아들은 친구가 전부인 것 같다. As for my son, these days it seems like his friends are his everything. In English, you cannot say my son is friends is everything. You can't say that. You have to say to my son or for my son, you have to use that preposition. But in Korean, you don't need to use any of those prepositions because the sentences are usually very flexible. 아들은, it's fine like that. 아들에게는 you can specify, but 아들은 is fine. All right, so you have these 3 sentences left, but let me look at this one and then answer some of your questions. So you get the gist of it, like the son is going through puberty and isn't responding very kindly, positively to the parents' questions and stuff. Typical of a son who is going through 사춘기. 느라고, so verb plus 느라고 is while doing something, because one is busy doing something. So it's usually like at least slightly negative. 만나느라고, 공부하느라고 전화 온 거 몰랐어요. I was busy studying, so I didn't know you were calling me. 일하느라고 늦었어요. So I'm late because I was working. 느라고. And then here's a very common mistake that native Korean speakers make. This is the one and only correct form for this, but many Korean people, especially these days, think that it's 일하느냐고, which is absolutely like completely incorrect in every way. 일하느냐고, it means asking if you're working. So 일하느냐고 늦었어요. It's absolutely wrong, but you will hear it everywhere. It's funny because it doesn't even make any sense, but it's just, I don't know. It's happening. People don't read, people don't write, so they think they hear something and they say it once and it worked and it sticks. So, yeah. So, yeah, 일하느라고. So if you see this and then, it's used in the sense of you were too busy doing something or so and so, you can gently correct that native speaker as well. There are so many things that you can actually correct native speakers on with Korean grammar. But anyway, this was just one example. Let's go over to the quiz section of the story and come back. 아들은 요즘 하루 종일 말이 많아요? 적어요? 말이 많지 않아요? 사춘기니까. 요즘 아들은 부모님보다 친구들을 더 좋아해요? 아니면 부모님을 더 좋아해요? 친구들을 더 좋아한다. 사춘기니까. 아들은 주말에 왜 바빠요? Why is the son busy on weekends? 컴퓨터를 해야 한다. He must use his computer. 공부를 해야 한다. He must study. 친구들하고 약속이 있다. He has plans with his friends. 친구들하고 약속이 있어요. 빈칸에 들어갈 말을 고르세요. 빈칸, blank, 들어갈 말, words or a word that will go into the blank. 고르세요. choose. 요즘 아들은 연예인처럼 만나기가 힘들다. 나쁜 친구처럼 만나기가 힘들다. 학교 친구처럼 만나기가 힘들다. Yeah. It's 연예인. Okay? Like a celebrity. Yes. Everything correct. 좋아요. 오늘 이렇게 글을 3개 읽었어요. We read 3 texts together. Questions. 여러분, 질문 아까 몇 개 봤는데 제가 답을 못했죠? I saw some questions go up earlier and I didn't get to answer them. Please, let me know. Okay, So I'm going to come over here and then copy your question here. I have a question about the usage of 은데, 는데. When do you use it? What are the situations in which it can be used, and so on? My teacher told me one of the usages is to bring background information. It is correct. Yeah, your teacher was right. So, 근데 originally 그런데, if you look at the standalone conjugation or conjunction, it's but. However, in the dictionary definition, but it's actually also commonly used, and you're continuing with the story. So you're attaching basically the same meaning to the end of a sentence. 이거, for example, 한국에서 샀는데, or 샀어요. I bought this in Korea, and instead of saying it or ending the sentence there, 이거 한국에서 샀는데, and then you are going on. So it's a way to hint to the listener that you're going to continue with your story. So don't interrupt yet. It's like a message. 이거 한국에서 샀는데 I bought this in Korea, and so background information. So I guess it's either background information starting your narrative, or literally, however. So those are the meanings. What app am I using to write? I am just using the Pages app on my Mac. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm just using Pages. Here. Yeah, whenever you have a very complex sentence that you are trying to understand and you can't quite, break it down on your own, bring it to me. I love breaking down complex Korean sentences. 울게 뭐가 있다고 울어? 울다 is to cry. 게 is 거시, shortened from 거시. 울 것 is, in this case, something to cry about. So again, no preposition used in 울 것. So, or a reason to cry, maybe. 뭐가 있다, what exists. 고, quoting. 뭐가 있다고 울어? Basically, it's a rhetorical question. What is there to cry about? There's nothing to cry about. 울게 뭐가 있다고 울어? Why? Why are you crying? Crying when there's nothing to cry about. That's the meaning and how it's formed. Okay. Yeah, I just skipped the last few sentences to save time to get back to your questions. MEM7137, do you come live every day at this time? Well, I usually go live at this time, but not every day. I try to do it at least a couple times a month. I am trying to do it more regularly. Hopefully, I can do another one next week. It's fun for me. I enjoy it, and I get to help you, and you can ask questions. I think it's a win-win situation. It really depends on my schedule. So that is why I have been doing live classes on the weekends, because normally at this hour, nobody in the house is awake, and it's good for me. It's quiet, except for the fact that my voice sometimes goes like, I don't want to work anymore. Yeah. So yeah, it's a complicated sentence, but you don't want to worry too much about complicated sentences. We have a book called Build and Extend Your Sentences. Like we explain in that book, you just go from smaller chunks and you get used to it, and then you just expand a little bit, you get used to it, expand a little bit. That way, one day something like this feels really, really easy. 그리고 받자, 굳이. So 굳이 is there's no point. It's an adverb that means there's no point. Like, why bother doing something? There's no point. So 굳이, and then 해봤자, 여봤자 means also, even if you do something, even if you do so and so, there's no point or there's no effect. So therefore, it is very natural for them to use together. 굳이, let's say 굳이 청소를 해봤자 저녁이 되면 또 더러워질 거예요. Let's say it like that. 굳이 청소를 해봤자, even if I clean, there's no point because when evening comes, it'll become dirty again. 더러워지다, to become dirty. 굳이 해봤자. I love this one. 눈, 코, 뜰 새 없다. So this one is slightly illogical in a way because 눈 is eye or eyes. 뜨다 is to open your eyes. 뜨다 is only used for eyes when it means open. 눈을 뜨세요. 눈을 감다. 눈을 to close one's eyes, open one's eyes. So 눈을 뜰 새. This 새 comes from 사이. 사이 shortened to 새. 사이 means between, a gap, an interval, time, a moment, right? So moment. 없다. So imagine you are walking in the street and it's raining. The rain is blowing in your face, right? There's no moment where you can open your eyes to see what's in front of you, right? It's blasting raindrops in your face. So 눈 뜰 새 없어요. It's 정신없어요. It's crazy, hectic. And then similarly, you kind of put 눈 and 코 together in one package because you have to breathe in the air and you have to open your eyes to see something. So 눈, 코, 뜰 새 없다 means you are extremely busy. The situation is really hectic and crazy. Can you say 코를 뜨다? 코를 감다? No, absolutely not. But just 코 kind of decided to tag along there with eyes. So it's a fixed expression that logically doesn't make sense as is now. Yeah, 받자. Yeah, you can just 받자예요. 굳이 청소를 해봤자예요. If you go to our lesson that talks about 받자, we give some sample sentences that are like that. 받자예요. 받자라는 생각이 들어요. Yeah, this 새 isn't a bird here. 새 can be three things. Bird, or new, or in this case, 사이. Moment, time. Okay? But this 새 is long vowel, 새. So 새집 is new house. 새집 is birdhouse. So if a bird got a new house, 새 새가 새 집을 만들었어요. 새. I don't know if you saw my video, quick video on long and short Korean vowels. The distinction is slowly going away, unfortunately, but I'm one of those people that still hear the distinction very clearly. And if you just listen to Korean people conversing naturally, they're still doing it. They're making an effort. Maybe they're not. Like they're just doing it naturally. When they say new house, they automatically say 새집. Nobody ever says 새집 because that will 100% mean a bird's house. And when they're talking about a birdhouse, they're naturally, automatically, without realizing, saying 새집 because that's all they've ever heard in that context. That's why the context is really important. You're just, you're a creature of habit. You've never heard 새집 being mentioned in the context of a birdhouse. So yeah, you have that. Yeah, that's the colon. Originally, it's not the colon even. It's I don't know if you can. I don't know if I can do it, but let me see if I can go and grab the dictionary, actual dictionary's sign. So here, let's see. Yeah, it's here. So I got it. Wait for me. I got it. So if you look here, I'm going to make it bigger for you. Do you see the triangles pointing at each other like that? That's the original form, 새. And yeah, for convenience, I just do 새. It's the same thing if you look from far away. Is my video on vowels on the YouTube channel? Yes, it's a short video, so you might want to go to the short form tab or go to our Instagram. All right. Are we done with today's live class? I guess so. So thank you so much for joining. It's been 90 minutes. I told you before that I want to do a live class at a different time, but I haven't found the opportunity yet. But I will try and accommodate other time zones in the future. Please do me a favor and check out all the links below in the description and just take a look around. We have a brand new home for our website as well. We made it easy for everyone to find exactly what they're looking for. So I don't know if, this is the right, So if you go to talktomeinkorean.com, you will be directed to, you'll see this one, and then you can also find your learning style assessment. And then, you can see that we have our course web here, books, seo, and stories. We basically have everything that you need to learn Korean really well. So thank you so much. I will see you again very soon. And if you haven't, there's a video that we published 2 days ago with me analyzing this famous scene from the Marvel movie Black Panther and their Busan scene, where the dialect spoken there is really interesting. All right. Thank you very much. I will see you again very soon. 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요. Bye bye.